Well, he's done it again. J. Payleitner, he is here, and here's the book. Look at this. You got to pay attention to this. What if God wrote your bucket list? 52 things you don't want to miss. Welcome back to Huntley Street, buddy.
John, thanks for having me.
It's good to see you. How many does this make for you books?
Well, just about 20. 20 and what a blessing. What a privilege. Who would have thought?
I admire you. You know, I've written one book, and it was with a co-author, so I give like I'm half of a book, so half of an author.
You know what? Some days I don't even get out of my jammies. I just sit down and I think and pray and put down what God leads me to do.
Well, years ago, not too many years ago, but there was a motion picture with Jack Nicholson, I think Morgan Freeman.
Yep.
It was called The Bucket List, and it became kind of
A touch point.
a touch point, yeah, and it became kind of a social norm to talk about what's on your bucket list. And you're asking the question now, what if God wrote your bucket list? Why'd you put this together? Because you're all about helping guys and children go to the next level.
That's a great question. Yeah, family relationships, most of my books and most of my ministry, my heart is for helping dads and husbands and wives and marriages and families, because that's the building block of our society.
I remember from our last time together, you just talked about how you could take advantage of a Happy Meal or a Big Mac at McDonald's with your sons and just talk about life.
Yeah, just the moments.
Yeah.
But then I realized as I'm talking to groups that they're still broken, they're still hurting, and I realized that you got to take a step back. If you're going to be the best dad you can be, the best husband, the best wife, the best manager you can be, you got to go, oh, not just what's my agenda, but what's God's agenda. So I'm going to ask you, John, what's on your bucket list? If you had something on your bucket list, is it seeing the Grand Canyon, taking your wife to Paris? What is that?
I've done those.
Okay.
Okay. So what I think, given your context, I think I'd like to maximize my life for the glory of God.
Well, there you go.
I really would. I'd like to have compounding influence as I move toward being 60. And there's a part of being 60 that's reaping now, because I've been able to sow by God's grace some good seed in prior decades. So I just think I'd like to maximize my life for the glory of God.
You're a step ahead of most of us.
Yeah.
Most of us are doing the selfish thing and things we have to do. I'd love to, go bungee jumping, or I'd love to.
So that's the bucket list.
Yeah, that's the bucket list.
Yeah, I want to ride an electronic bull named Fu Manchu from that country song. You just have a bucket list. You want to go travel. You want to go to safari.
But what's on God's bucket list?
So what is on God's bucket list?
Well, it would be probably fewer things to do and more things to understand and embrace. The idea of, wow, at some point we need to come to the conclusion that, wow, there is a God.
So you really are saying create a bucket list where you can learn a value, learn a lesson, serve somebody else, make a difference in someone else's life.
Well, there you go. Again, come to these understandings, not so much what you're going to do, but who you are going to be. One of my favorites is the idea that we have to understand at some point that there is evil in the world.
Yes.
And I go back and I tell the story of when I was 15, walking through the county carnival, the county fair, and getting called over by one of these con men to play a little game at a midway, and throwing darts at balloons. It doesn't matter what it was, but the point was that I had $14 in my pocket.
Yes.
Before I knew it, that guy had cleaned me out, $14.
He was working.
And me and my girlfriend Sally were like dumbstruck, and so I walked away because I didn't have any money. He shooed me away. As soon as he had all my money, he shooed me away, this guy. He was just doing his job. That's what he does. And so we went to stand at the other side of the midway, and I watched him take money from guys older and smarter than me, too. $30 here, guy kept pulling out $20 bills. It's like, oh, that's a bad guy. Now, it's not for me to judge who he is or what his motivation is, but there is darkness in this world. There is evil in this world. And so some folks think, life is all good. And no, this is a broken world. And that's one of the truths we have to grab. On your bucket list is the idea that you need to go, oh, there is evil in the world. Oh, there is truth. Oh, there is a God, and He's bigger than me. Oh, I do make mistakes. Oh, my time on earth is finite. We need to come to those kind of conclusions.
Okay, you go against the grain on some things here. The societal grain. All right, now, number 4, be last in line.
Well, oh my golly, you think about, the last shall be first, and we have to understand that. Yeah. That great scene in Scripture where Jesus is walking, I think, to Capernaum, and the 12 disciples are walking around behind him, he's talking about death and resurrection and the grand history of the world. And the guys, the 12 disciples, are arguing who's going to be next. Who's his favorite? Who's got dibs on being Jesus' favorite?
Who's going to be on your right? Who's going to be on your
Well,
left?
exactly right. And Jesus turns around and goes, Jesus knew what they were talking about. And he goes, so what were you guys talking about back there? He knew, but he asked them anyways. And they go, well, we were asking who was going to be your favorite. And he goes, gentlemen, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. So the lesson there is, maybe put others ahead of ourselves, maybe serve. So that's one of the things on your bucket list. You need to understand the concept. Oh, a servant's heart. Jesus was servant king. We need to follow that.
Preferring others over yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Get fired?
Well,
That's number 11. Get fired?
Well, the lesson there I learned.
You had that on your bucket list.
Well, because it worked for me. I'm not going to bore you with all details, but I've been kind of asked to leave and fired and maybe suggested that I quit from 6 or 7 jobs. I'm not a good boss. I'm not a good boss. I'm not a good manager. I'm not a good employee. That's why I sit. That's why
But in your defense, some of the most successful entrepreneurs I've known that eventually found out what they were supposed to do, they have a lifetime of being fired. I mean, I can think of the most famous political radio commentator in the United States that everyone knows his name. He was fired 8, 9 times before he found his place in radio.
Well, and that's exactly right. God uses it all.
Yes, he does.
So when you think that crud's happening in your life, when you think you've hit the bottom, if you just kind of peek ahead and look at and turn around and say, God, what's in this for me? He will eventually reveal. If you're seeking his glory, if you're seeking him, he's going to use that low point to turn you to something with excellence.
Now that ties in when you get fired, you're tempted to have a grudge, feel sorry for yourself. One of your bucket list items that you think God wants us to put on ours would be live grudge-free.
Well, when we all have folks in our lives who are deserving of our grudges, let's say it that way, who have maybe...
Those are people that you have to put the accelerator all the way down to the floorboard to love them just a little bit.
To love them, yeah. Well, there you go. And you know what? When I think it was Buddy Hackett, the great comedian who's passed away.
Hackett, yeah.
But he said, while you're holding a grudge, I'm paraphrasing, while you're holding a grudge, the person you're holding a grudge against, he's out dancing. Mm-hmm. So don't hold a grudge. And as a matter of fact, heap coals on his head. That's scriptural too.
That's right.
You heap coals on their head. What a great image that is.
Yeah.
If you live grudge-free, then you can live with love and freedom, and you're not letting that guy drag you down.
Attend a funeral?
Well, you got to know that we're not on this earth forever. Some of us think we're going to live forever, and I'll leave us with this thought. It would be this. There's some folks out there, and you've heard them say, maybe words come out of your mouth. You know what? I'm ready to go. Jesus would return today, or if he takes me today, I'm ready for that. And for decades, I didn't buy into that. It's like, no, man, I want to grow. I have things to do. I want to see my kids married off and grandkids. I have things to do. But I have 4 grandkids now, and 3 of my sons are these great fathers. So I get that now. I get the idea that we can be done. Mm-hmm. It'd really be okay if Jesus took me today. It would be okay, and I'm ready for that.
So you're saying go to a funeral, yes, honor that person by being there, but also think about your own life. Use it as a moment for personal growth and reflection.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and let's go on to this thing about celebrating quirks, because I've got a lot of them.
Well, yes. Oh, my wife, my wife used to leave the mailbox cover up. Jay. When she took the mail out.
Jay, what's
oh
wrong
my
with,
golly! Why would I even marry someone like this?
It's the end of civilization as we know it.
But at some point, when I pulled up to the driveway and I saw my mailbox open, I said, "Oh, Rita is home. My sweetheart is home. I can go and get a smooch from her, and I love her dearly, and everything that about her, the good and the quirky and the stuff that ticks me off. Yeah. That's who she is, and I love her desperately. So."
You celebrate the quirks.
Celebrate quirks.
That is good. All right, I love this one. A couple of them here. Give credit where credit is due. That's what a secure person does.
I tell a story there that's a little bit too long for our thing here. But the idea is, I took credit for something, or I accidentally took credit for something, and the boss straightened me out. It's like, oh, for sure. Because then then folks give you credit when you need to. It's just a little thing, and there's biblical basis for that.
That's
too.
right. Don't be defensive. Don't be negative. Let me ask you to just talk about one more. Do typical bucket list stuff.
Well, okay. Yeah, if you write a book like this, you think that every chapter is going to be things like go on a mission trip, do a do-it-yourself Messiah, or
read the Bible.
Read the Bible through those kind of things. And I do dedicate one chapter to that. Those are things to do.
Yeah.
So smack in the middle of the book, I think it was chapter 26, is exactly do typical bucket list things, volunteer in a soup kitchen, do sidewalk counseling outside a Planned Parenthood clinic, look up at the Sistine Chapel, visit the Holy Land, spend a week in solitude, do an angel tree gift with prison fellowship, those kind of things.
That's great.
But that's just one chapter, because the rest is more.
51 chapters of other things you can do.
Yeah.
Jay, we're out of time, buddy. This is great. This is so great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and it's available on our e-story. It's called "What If God Wrote Your Bucket List." This would be a terrific gift to give to someone, maybe a man, a guy in your life that would be motivated to read this. Jay just has passion, and it's fun. It's funny. And it's humorous in many ways, self-deprecating humor, which you do so very, very well.
Thanks.
It's called "What If God Wrote Your Bucket List: 52 Things You Don't Want to Miss." Jay Payleitner. Jay, God
Thanks,
bless you.
John.
Thank you. Available at the e-store.